All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of our new Feisty Triathlon podcast. We have our new hosts here, Joanne Murphy and Katie Zaferes, and we have a special guest for our first episode, Mirinda Carfrae. I feel like I should introduce you guys, but I feel like everyone knows you, and they will get to know you. Before we get started, I do want to thank Feisty's longtime sponsors, Orca and Previnex. If you're looking for a new wetsuit this tri-season, use the code Feisty15 for 15% off at Orca. And make sure you're recovering with Previnex's plant-based vegan shakes. You can get 15% off with the code FeistyTry15. We will include those links and codes in the comments here live and in the show notes. And a reminder, if you are watching right now live, you can leave comments and questions. We will open it up to questions towards the end. But I want to start with one of my questions to get to know our new hosts, our special guest. What was your first triathlon? How did you get into tri? Rinny, I feel like it was probably so long. Do you remember how you got it?
It was so long ago. Yeah. I think my first triathlon was I always want to say 19, but it was 89.
Oh, wow.
99, not 89. 89 I would have been. I'm like, I don't even know what decade we're in. But so 99. So I used to play basketball and met some triathletes at the local gym. I was starting to try to bulk up for the basketball season. I'm only 5'3", so dealing with women much bigger than myself. So myself and a couple of my teammates who are also smaller in stature met some triathletes at the gym. Eventually, over time, they talked me into doing a race, and I did a short, local race. I think in Redcliffe in Brisbane. It was a 300-meter swim. I feel like it was a 10K bike and a 3K run. Very short, and it was awful. I just remember being like, what is this? First of all, the swim was like choppy, kind of dark water. I wasn't a swimmer, so it was terrifying. And people were just swimming all over the top of everyone else. So that wasn't very friendly. And then I got on the bike and it was just painful, pushing, trying to go fast, and then hopping off the bike and like, what the heck is this running off the bike with like lead for legs? Needless to say, I think I finished like third overall in the women's somehow. And immediately it was like, okay, when's the next one? So a glutton for punishment. And yeah, that was my first taste at triathlon.
After that, I was going to be like, my follow-up question was going to be like, why did you stay? Like, why did you keep doing triathlon?
This is a question you can ask every single triathlete. Why? Why do you put yourself through this? And I think it was just, well, for me, being a smaller basketball player, I was quite literally overlooked a lot. And didn't matter if I was fitter than the other women or would turn up to all the sessions, and like I just wasn't big enough to be considered
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of the teams. And so with triathlon, I just saw this sport that, okay, I will get it out what I put in. If I'm willing to do the work, which I am, then I could be good at this sport. And so that was really what attracted me to the sport, and just how kind of crazy it was, and so different to what I'd been doing in the whole, team sport arena.
Yeah. I feel like this resonates with you guys, right, Katie, Joanne?
Yeah, a little bit, except mine's a little different because my dad was the one who got me started in triathlon, because there was a Father's Day tri, and I'm one of three girls of daughters. And so one of us was going to do it with him. And I grew up similar thing, different sports. So I was soccer, lacrosse, and swimming, and had just started running kind of in those last couple of years. And so I thought I was doing it for my dad. Like, that was literally the reason I thought we were doing a triathlon. And then maybe it was like years later, I found out he was probably scheming for me, of like thinking because I swam, because I ran, that I might be okay at it. But my first one was like in a pool. I mean, I had the slowest transition onto the bike because I had to pull on my like soccer shorts, pull on my t-shirt, tie my running shoes on, and hop onto like the
Right.
pedals, and then but the fastest T2 because I was ready to go off the bike. But it was, at that point, it was really just like, I I didn't even dream possible of where triathlon would lead me, because A, I had no idea that there was even that pathway. And B, like, I didn't know any professional athletes or Olympians, or I was just doing triathlon for fun with my dad. And I kind of did that race every year with him on Father's Day, and then went to school to run at Syracuse University. And during that time, I was recruited by USA Triathlon through the collegiate recruitment program into draft legal racing. And that was really the only time that I started thinking, oh, this is something like that's going to become a bigger part of my life. And even then I still had like no idea where it was going to lead.
Do you wish you had known earlier, or is it kind of, no, she's shaking her head.
No. I think the naivety benefited me so much in my career, like especially in those initial stages, because when I was recruited for the collegiate recruitment program, I basically understood it was an Olympic sport, but nothing on like the draft legal specificity of that. And I don't think I realized like the different levels of racing or where I was at. I was literally just trying to learn a new sport, and that was enough for me. And I was so just really focused on that part that there was no pressure or stress that would come with probably if I had really taken to heart like the program that I was in. I mean, I knew enough to be nervous and intimidated. Like I've told this story many times, but when we were driving, my dad drove me out to Colorado Springs when I realized that we were going to be residents at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. And it's a 24-hour drive from Maryland. The whole way is great. Like we take our stops for football games along the way, but like we got an hour out or like 90 minutes out, and I said, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm ready. Like, can we go home? Because it just scared me, because I was like, I've never done this sport, and here I am like going to be surrounded at that like highest level of expectations.
Sure.
And my dad was just like, hey, Kate, like if you don't like it, like that's fine. Like give it a week. I'll fly out. We'll drive back together. And it became like a no risk thing. And so like, yeah, I'm so glad I went into it just without knowing anything, because it really had me focused on like in the moment learning. And obviously at points in my career, like there was like lots of pressure there. So I did have to deal with that at some point, but not necessarily like right off the bat.
Right. That makes sense. I feel like there are things we all, that you do wish you had known back in like when you guys started. Maybe that, what's going to come isn't one of them. So.
Yeah.
Joanne, I feel like you and I are the non-world champions here.
Well, I have been on an Ironman World Champion finish line.
Yes,
so, I mean, a couple of times, but just talking rather than racing, unfortunately. My start in the sport was, I was a team sports player all my life. I was an Irish dancer as a kid, growing up in a very small rural community in Ireland. And when I moved to the west of Ireland, to Galway, I was playing rugby and tag rugby. And as a kid, I used to cycle with my dad, kind of in my, I suppose when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe that kind of age group. And when we played tag rugby, some of the guys were getting bikes and we decided we'd go cycling. And so then the next thing, the Volvo Ocean Race came to Galway in 2009, I think it was. And they decided to put on a triathlon. And I heard this crazy thing of like, there's a triathlon. What do you mean? You swim, you cycle, you run. What? They're going to swim in Galway Bay? Are you having a laugh? No way, not going to be able for that. Anyway, I wasn't able for it. So I did a relay. So I couldn't swim. I did the bike and the run. And that was my very first triathlon back in 2009. I absolutely loved it. And the following year, even though the Volvo Ocean Race didn't have a stopover here, that charity triathlon went ahead and I did the swim, bike and run myself. And that really was the start of an incredible journey since 2009. And yeah, I have never raced at the level that these two fabulous athletes have raced at. Yeah, it's a whirlwind. I've done all the distances. I just haven't raced at World Championship level.
So it sounds like triathlon wasn't a big thing in Ireland. Like the same way it wasn't a big... Was it big in Australia, though? Because I feel like in Australia, everybody knows how to swim, right? Like you guys have all these... Everyone's a triathlete, right?
Yeah, in Australia, it was big, but I still had no clue. I mean, I didn't know anything about triathlon until I met the triathletes. Like Ironman for me was the surf, because we had the Ironman series in Australia, and that's like surf, lifesaving, boarding, swimming, and that was on TV on the weekends. And so that to me was what Ironman was, until I learned about Hawaii Ironman, which was like, holy wow. And so yeah, I no clue. I don't know why, because I think in '99 we Australian women were like top. I think we got first, second, third, fourth, and sixth at the World Championships. So we had, and we had like the Essentia series. They had like the Tui's Blue series or something way back in the day. A bunch of different super sprint style races, and I think it was televised. But yeah, again, I was just oblivious until I met these triathletes, and I'm like, no, wait, you do three sports and it's one sport? How does that make sense? So yeah, I kind of came in blind, and I was super intrigued. And initially, my eyes were on Olympic distance, because I met Loretta Harrop, who won the World Champs in '99 in Montreal, and she went on to race in the first Olympic Games. Obviously, it was in Sydney for triathlon. And so, yeah, I was kind of like captivated by short course racing and Olympic distance racing, but I sucked at swimming. So, a few years into trying to chase that Olympic dream, I realized, okay, this is like an uphill battle for me. And in that time as well, I learned about Ironman in Hawaii, and that just captivated my attention. And yeah, obviously at some point around 2005, I started coming to the US and racing non-draft, and I'm like, okay, this is where I belong.
Did you enjoy Ironman like right away? Like, did you gravitate towards that distance, or just feel like it suited your strengths the most?
No, I would have been a short course athlete if I could swim. Like, and I say that it kind of in jest. I did want to do Ironman, but every single Ironman I ever did, I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, this is way too far. This is way too hard. This is maybe not great for my body. But my first Ironman was in Hawaii. So like, I got to race like the world champs, because I won the 70.3 world champs to qualify. And back then you could do that. I think it went back and forth. I don't think you can do that again now. But yeah, I got to race in Kona, and I finished second that year. And the next year it was my second Ironman was Kona, and I finished first. So it was like, okay, like I am meant for this. Like, I don't love the distance, but I got to race in Kona, and I loved that race. So it was kind of when I, then had to go and qualify and do other Ironman races. I'm like, no, I don't want to do Ironman. I just want to do Kona. And I don't know, like, I think had I been able to swim, I think I would have followed the Olympic distance pipeline, and tried to go to the Olympics and represent my country in that way. But I mean, I think all things happen for a reason, and Ironman Hawaii and Kona has given me like my whole life. So it's so much to be grateful for.
Reverse question, Katie. Do you have a desire to do Ironman?
No, never. Half Ironman, I can like fathom. And actually, it's like a little, I feel like I'm pretty much done professional racing. Like, I retired professionally, and I don't really plan on coming back. But there's like a little bit of what ifs for like the middle distance for me, because I think I would have enjoyed it. I also think it would have suited my strengths. Ironman, though, I'm like, sometimes I think Olympic distance races feel long, and like, I can't even imagine a bad Ironman, like like how long that must feel. So yeah, we went to, I want to say, I can't remember what year we were there, but we were there spectating with a sponsor, and people are like, oh, watch out, you'll catch the Ironman bug. I'm pretty sure I almost quit triathlon just training there, and also spectating was really exhausting too. So I was like,
oh, in Kona.
Kona. Yeah.
My husband did the same thing. He like got off the plane, went for a run, and was like, they want you to do what? This is ridiculous.
So Kelly, throwing the question at you then, because you're the only one who hasn't actually answered the question. How did you get started in triathlon? Where was your first race?
I know. I feel like this is going to be very embarrassing, but for a boy, my now husband was on the triathlon team in college, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And so I like secretly practiced swimming and like riding my bike at the park so that I would like be good when I showed up. because I actually didn't know how to ride a bike. If anyone, most people don't know how to swim. I didn't know how to ride a bike. And so yeah, and then it's very fun. But so my first triathlon was Santa Cruz Sentinel. If anyone remembers the one back in the day, yeah. And I did it in tennis shoes, like you just said, and I didn't know that sighting was a thing. That was my like, oh. But I stuck with the triathlon, and I married the guy. So
You got the guy in the end, Kelly. It's all worth it. Was it worth it?
well, there you go. It's all worth it. But my first triathlon, so now we'll see. Rinny's first was 99. You said your first was 2009. My first was 2005.
I'm right in the middle, 2007.
Wow.
So that's like, we're all kind of like some decades here, not to age ourselves. How has it, I mean, it's changed a lot. Like I remember those early days when there was like backyard races. How have you guys seen it change in that time?
Rinny's seen the most change, so let's start with her.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I got to see the start of triathlon on the world stage with the World Cup series and springboarding from, the first Olympics. So I didn't get to see kind of before that. And I think, you go back and you talk to like Greg Bennett or like Laura Bennett and those guys, and they have like even different stories. But yeah, I mean, at least I got to race like grassroots, short course sprint races when that was enough, right? Like,
Right.
Oh, you did a sprint triathlon. That's pretty cool. And yeah, got to like feel the grassroots and like the Noosa Triathlon, massive multi-sport event in Australia. That was one of my first, I think, Olympic distances, and like getting to see it evolve over the years and just grow. And then like the 70.3 series emerging. I mean, for me, it was all like almost perfect timing. Like I came over to the US, did my, I did it my first half in like, I think 2003 in Australia. But then in '05, I came over because there were just lots of racing opportunities. There wasn't a 70.3 series then. So you were just kind of racing like, I think I did a race in Florida. I did a race like the Spirit of Racine, which ended up being Racine 70.3. I did I don't know if Eagle Man before it was a 70.3 or not. I can't remember. It's so many years ago. But then even like St. Croix and races like that before the 70.3 series was formed. And then for me, I was like, okay, I'm doing these half Ironman distance races. It's not part of the series. There's no World Championships. I want to make money. And right now I'm just living sort of paycheck to paycheck. Like I need to get top 3 in order to break even. I need to top 2 to like maybe have a little money to spend on food. And if I win, then great. I'm golden. So I was sort of racing like that from race to race. And then I was like, okay, do I go up and race Ironman because that's really where sponsorship money is? And fortunately, right around that time, the 70.3 series was formed, and that was 2006 was the first year in Clearwater, Florida. So I'm like, perfect. Now there's a series and a World Championship event that I can train for. And so I just saw that evolution and how big that became so quickly just by having a World Championship event. I think that was really cool. But yeah, Kona I've seen from 2010 through to now. And yeah, I mean, I feel like it has changed and it hasn't changed. I mean, obviously we had the women go to Nice and now everyone's coming back together, which, I see both sides of that. And I don't know what the best answer is. I mean, I love being able to race with the men and also hated it because, there's all those different, things that we could talk about some other time, like in terms of, the pro tail end of the pro men's pack, interfering with the lead of the women's pack, and then the age group men sort of interfering with the back of our pack. So those issues, but then also having that one day where everyone gets to race was pretty cool.
How big was Kona when you first did it?
I feel like we only had like less than 2,000. Like it was like maybe 1,800 or 1,900. And remember when we wanted 50 women to qualify for Kona?
There was like, there is no more room. Yeah.
There is no room. Like that was like the argument. We at that point were like, we can can we put the pros on the road? Like, let's put our racks on the road. Then there's an extra space. But it was just a weird time,
Different
and
time.
yeah, and I think through that, like, Ironman, to their credit, recognized, okay, we have a opportunity here on the women's side to grow the sport. But yeah, I digress, and I'm talking about something different than what you first.
No, I was
asked.
curious. I think I think a lot of people are curious how Kona has changed over the years, because I think even in the 10, 15 years I've been going, it's changed. But what stuck, I actually wanted to ask you, as you were saying that, you said that you had to do Ironman kind of to make a living. Can you make a living now at just 70.3? Can an athlete,
Yes.
not like, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, and the emergence of the T100,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no better time than right now to be a professional athlete. There's so many opportunities. And I think, when T100 sort of came out, I'm like, wow, like, I wish I was like 10 years younger. Because now you don't have to race Ironman. Like, and you have, like, I mean, Paula Finlay came to mind just now. She is going to race an Ironman this year, which is surprising. But there are athletes like Flora Duffy, like, probably would never wants to do an Ironman. And like Katie, maybe, never say never. There's opportunity, right? Like, and there's pretty big contracts available, and like lucrative opportunities for these athletes to go and make a living and race around the world. And that just wasn't there before. And yeah, now obviously with the T100 sort of came the Pro Series. Like, it forced, in my opinion, I think, Ironman's hand to, okay, let's make a series where athletes are vying for end of year bonuses. And so now you don't only have T100 bonus and great prize money, you have Ironman giving out the prize money it sort of always has, but now, the opportunities for world bonuses and being ranked number one in the world. Like, now you can go to sponsors and be like, okay, I'm ranked number one in the world. Whereas before, we didn't really have that. Like, you won the world champs, that was kind of it. And that was great for me because I was able to get to the top and win that race. But I think it's just a more season long narrative now that we're able to follow, which I think is great for the fans of the sport.
Yeah.
And I think as well, you've mentioned a lot of it there, Rinny, in terms of what's changed is actually the amount of opportunity now that athletes have to race. So you have Ironman, you've Super Tri, you've T100, you've Challenge. I'm sure I'm missing hundreds of other brands who are out there vying for triathletes to race with them. And you have other indigenous companies that are smaller companies that are maybe doing multi-sport festivals. Like, I think the guys down in Australia, there's guys here in the UK and stuff. I'm sure there's plenty in America. And what it has done is it's opened up the opportunity for more people to access more races. Like, when I think back to when I started in 2009, triathlon had been around for a while in Ireland. I think actually Mark Allen raced in Ireland back in the 1980s. There was an Ironman event in Northern Ireland, and Mark Allen was the guest over there. Like, and the Skerries Triathlon, I think, celebrated around 40 years. That's our oldest, one of the oldest triathlons in Ireland. But really, the growth and the explosion of the sport here in Ireland came when Ironman came in 2011 and had the very first event here in Galway. And that's really when Ironman got on people's radar. So I'm sure in the States and in Canada and Australia, you've got your homegrown sports. We have those homegrown sports that everybody sees. We've got the hurling and the football for the men, the camogie and the Gaelic football for the women. We've got soccer and rugby. They're the homestead sports that every kid in every rural community will play, but triathlon wasn't. Whereas when Ironman came, it put the sport into the public spotlight for people here particularly. And now we see lots of people going abroad to race. So it's broadened the horizons as well of people, that it's not just racing at home, but it's racing abroad. You've got athletes trying to qualify for World Championships from Ireland, going to the States for the extra slots that are available in some of the 70.3 World Championships. You've got, some of the series in the UK here as well, offering opportunities for people to experience the thrill and the excitement of the sport. And I think that's really what's changed, is we've had a lot more people step up to host events, to deliver events, and then we've got this load of people kind of suddenly realizing that it's not just Ironman, it's not just Kona, but actually we've got pockets of the sport closer to us. And we also have the opportunity with cheaper flights in some cases. If you're like us, you've got Ryanair and Aer Lingus off the island of Ireland. We can go to destination races. So it has become for us definitely more of a lifestyle style sport. As an age grouper, we can go to, there's loads of people Irish people gone to Lanzarote this week for the Ironman Lanzarote. Last week, Marbella, I think Ireland was probably one of the biggest countries. The UK is generally in the top 3, and I think that's what's changed as well, that it's not just the companies that are delivering the races, but actually the whole aspect of the race and the opportunity to race from grassroots right through to World Championship at various levels has made a big, big difference. And the explosion of social media has helped, and YouTube channels and athletes having the opportunity to share their story. We don't need mainstream media, in my opinion, because we have so many podcasts, YouTube channels. Everybody knows who Lucy Charles Barclay is.
Sure. I'm still a big fan of mainstream media. I'm just going to put it out there.
I am too. But what I'm trying to say is, I suppose social media has offered us the opportunity for everybody to have a channel and to have followers and to spread the word about the sport, I suppose. So I've gone off on a little tangent there as well. So we might hand over to Katie to see.
No, I was going to say, we have a question for Joanne before you. I know what Gaelic football is, and I feel like Rinny does, but yes, we have a question. What is Gaelic football?
Does anybody else want to answer it?
I was going to say, it's like a cross between rugby and soccer and football, basically, that's like more violent. Yeah.
Not more violent. We don't have sticks at each other like we do in hurling and camogie, but it's a round ball. It's like a soccer ball. I think it's slightly heavier. And you have goalposts that are like NFL or AFL goalposts. So when you score a goal, it has to go into the smaller box, and you get 3 points and for the goal. And if you score it over between the high posts, like in rugby or NFL, I really don't know how they play, you get 1 point. And then you've got teams from all different communities. So say here, for example, in Galway, there might be, I don't actually know, there could be 25 or 30 Gaelic football or GAA clubs, and you'll have teams lining out and playing matches against each other. Like in the middle of the week, they'll be training. It is like, it's an amazing sport. Our national sports are so exciting. I encourage everybody to go on YouTube and look up the All Ireland football final, which is usually featuring Dublin and Mayo. Not sure who it's going to feature this year, but it's just everybody gets behind it. Even if you don't play a Gaelic sport, I say Gaelic because that's what they're called. You, by watching it, you're absolutely engrossed in it. Yeah, and you can hop the ball, kick the ball, hand pass the ball. There's loads of different things. There you go. Now.
We have a follow-up. What the heck is camogie?
This is not meant to be this way. Camogie is the women's version of the men's game of hurling. So you see, it's a hurl. It's like a cross between a hockey stick maybe and a lacrosse net, but it's an ash piece of wood, and you have a ball that's like a tennis ball, but it's called a schlither, and it's really hard. And when you put the ball on
like Harry Potter,
yeah,
and you hit it, it goes like serious speed. And again, you've got 3 points for a goal, 1 point for an over the bar. Ferocious game, absolutely one of the most thrilling games you'll ever watch in your life. Again, I encourage anybody to check it up on YouTube. I probably haven't done it a good service. I used to play camogie years ago as a child, but I haven't played it for a long time. So I'm sure lots of things have changed with it, but it's a fascinating game. 2 teams, again, cross country, and huge, particularly in rural communities in Ireland.
So it was hard for triathlon to break in to this, is what we're saying.
Absolutely, it still is. It's a big sport in Ireland. I did actually look at the numbers during the week. It's quite big, but and it's getting bigger. But it's breaking that. Not breaking it because there's room for all the sports to be there, but kids play the national sports in school. That's what's encouraged. That's what drives a lot of the community spirit around the place as well. But we've so many sports. We had so many teams in the Olympics. We've so many national governing bodies across so many sports as well here. Similar probably to everybody else. So yeah, but it's so triathlon. And even though we're an island, there isn't huge opportunities to swim. If you're living in the middle of nowhere, there's no swimming pools.
That's funny.
You've to answer the question now. Sorry, Kelly.
No, yeah, we were going to move away from Gaelic football. It's fascinating as that was. Orca has been a longtime partner of Feisty Triathlon, and we've been excited to see them over the years constantly innovating to create the best wetsuits on the market. In 2022, they came out with 6 iconic wetsuits designed to enhance every swimmer's form. And now, in 2025, they've launched a second generation of those suits, with advances in flexibility and freedom of movement to improve your feel for the water and reduce fatigue. Now, the Orca wetsuits are divided into 2 categories, and in each category there are 3 suits with different characteristics and buoyancy levels. So whether you're looking for maximum buoyancy, or maximum shoulder mobility, or a mix of the two, Orca has a suit for you. Get ready for race season with an Orca wetsuit and use the code FEISTY15 for 15% off at orca.com. That's FEISTY15 for 15% off at orca.com.
Hey Feisties, Sarah Gross here. We are so excited to be back with you here on our new, shiny, Feisty Triathlon podcast. Thank you for listening. I am so glad you're here. I want to tell you about one of the Feisty team's favorite recovery products, Prevenex's Neurify Plus. I use the chocolate flavor myself every day to support my strength training. At Feisty, we only support brands that our team uses and products that deliver results we have seen for ourselves. Prevenex's Neurify Plus is one of the best tasting plant-based and vegan shakes I've tried, and trust me, I've tried a lot. It contains balanced protein, carbs, and fat with comprehensive, high-quality micronutrients to help fuel your health. It also contains probiotics and digestive enzymes, so it's super easy to digest and doesn't give you that bloaty, gassy kind of effect that other protein products can produce. Unlike most supplement brands, Prevenex tests everything with pharmaceutical-grade precision, and they also offer a 100% money-back guarantee. So try Neurify Plus or any Prevenex product today, and you get 15% off your first order with the code FEISTYTRY at Prevenex.com. That's FEISTYTRY for 15% off at Prevenex.com. The link will be, as always, in the show notes.
But yeah, Katie, I'm wondering, because obviously we talked a lot here about the expansion of like Ironman and long course and the opportunities. Do you feel like the opportunities have also increased on the short course side? Because I feel like sometimes the short course athletes are still like, I have to fly all over and I don't make that much money.
I'd agree with that. Like there's certain, so like Super Tri has been a really good thing for short course racing, and they had like 2 races last year. So Boston and Chicago were both in the US, and I think in general, short course racing everywhere else is pretty great. It's actually when you're asking what's changed for me, it's been, I mean, one of my first races was San Diego, like WTS or World Triathlon Championship Series, and that doesn't exist. And then in 2014 and 2015, they had Chicago. Now that doesn't exist. So like, I think that really hurts our growth of just like draft legal triathlon in the United States, because it's really hard to get to races, and something I'm now experiencing on the coaching side of things as we get like our draft legal athletes is like, you have to travel far and that's costly. And so I know it's something USA Triathlon is really working on, is trying to have more opportunities to race draft legal events. How can we implement just more opportunities, even if they're in local races, and to make it more manageable so that people don't have to travel to another country, or even across this country is like is enough, but rather have more local draft legal triathlons. So I think that's like one of the things I would love to see in the future is just more opportunities to race more locally and do draft legal racing.
I think a lot of the non-draft short course races in the U.S. have also sort of, like, there used to be a heyday. I mean, Rinny kind of mentioned some of them that she used to, right? There used to be kind of a heyday of non-drafting Olympic races in the U.S., and there's just not as much anymore. Yeah,
there's now I'm gonna forget. There's a Muscatine Triathlon, which is in Iowa, and it actually has quite a good prize purse to it. I think if you win, it's $5,000, and I'm like, how does like that's really uncommon now. So like trying to send athletes to that race, because it is an opportunity to do the shorter distance and make money in the US.
Because Rinny, I mean, you used to do, I mean, there was like High V and Lifetime and lots of
Chicago,
them.
St. Anthony's is still around, which is
Mhm.
awesome. That's that was always a sort of a staple in the spring calendar. But yeah, it's kind of sad because I feel like that's sort of where a lot of, well, myself and a lot of my peers, we cut our teeth on those races, right? Like doing the short course racing, and even like, Super League Tri is an option, but like in Australia, we had all of the, super sprint options down there. And it was like, I remember like maybe in 2001 or 2002, I got a contract like 4 grand. Again, it was huge money for me to do the series. And it was like 5 races, and there was like super sprints, or they were like double sprints. So similar to what Super League is doing, but it was all over the country. And we had people from the US coming. We had like, basically the best in the world. And at that point, a lot of the best were from Australia, because I think we just had opportunity. And to Katie's point, where there's opportunity, that's where I think the country will thrive, right? Like the athletes from that country will thrive because there's so much opportunity. And I think, for the Ironman side of things, we have that here in the US, but yeah, there's not many options for short course racing.
Mm. I think specifically, well, I know from our perspective here on this side of the Atlantic, there's very little draft legal racing goes on in Ireland in particular, and even in the UK there isn't a huge amount either. I mean, it's all non-draft short. All the short course stuff is non-draft legal, unless it's like a mixed team relay or something where it's very, very short closed roads, because trying to get closed roads for draft legal racing is just impossible. One of the reasons. It's just
Have you ever done a mixed team relay, Joanne?
I haven't actually done a mixed team relay. I know I'd love to, but yeah, no, I think the national championships used to take place in Galway the last couple of years, and I used to commentate the race. So yeah, never got to race it. Maybe sometime.
It's fun. It's I feel like, I mean, obviously Katie's done them. Have you ever done a mixed team? They're wild.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best. It's my favorite event by far.
Actually, I did. We did the first. So the first ever mixed team ITU was in Tituvaris, Hungary. And I was on the team with Brad Cullerfelt, Nikki Edgett at the time, Pip Taylor. You probably don't even know these names. They're like from the dinosaur era. Richie Cunningham, Simon Thompson, and I can't think of the other guy, but it was 3 men and 3 women, and it was like super sprint style, and we won the world champs. So I also have that world title. Just
Sorry, we added another world title to her titles.
Yeah, I don't know if you really count it. It was the first time they ever did it.
I was gonna say, she has too many, she forgets about them.
Yeah, right.
Well, I totally got sidetracked there by if I had world titles I just forgot about. But I was going to say, you kind of mentioned, Katie, that if you'd love to see more draft legal races. What are some other things you guys would like to see? I mean, so much has changed. There are so many opportunities. What do we still want to see improve or change from here? If you were like queen of triathlon, you could just make things happen.
What do you mean if she were? We are the queens of triathlon. The feisty ones.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a lot about like just seeing draft legal events in the US and having more opportunities for like, because it's impacted my life so much and I've just enjoyed racing like the World Triathlon Series. I'd like having more daily training, like more places for athletes to go, more opportunities so they can like feel supported in an environment. And it's just, those things are just hard to do. And I would love, like my dream is like to have a Hamburg-esque, Bermuda-esque like crowd at one of these World Triathlon Championship Series in the United States, because I remember going to my first Hamburg, and it was pretty early on in my career, but still I have never seen like 4 deep in spectating of this event, like to the point where like you had to get there early to like find a place, and the energy that brings was just really, it's just such a special atmosphere. So that's like as queen of triathlete, that's what I envision. Like, I'd love to see that. And I'd like to see more of just like the overlapping of the different types of athlete from long course to short course. I think now you see it in T100, which is really cool for me, is like most of the athletes that I like have been doing world triathlon races with for the past 10 years or decade are now moving on to T100. And I think it's really cool when you see like the merging of world triathlon and non-draft like longer distance athletes at the same time going against each other. I just think that's pretty cool. I think there's complications to it because like even there's like the T100 and world triathlon race happening on the same weekend.
Right,
And I'm like, oh, like that's going to be hard for people to choose between. So I don't know the best way to do it yet, but I do like when everyone's kind of mixing. We did that at like Island House was really neat to do that at. So I like those types of opportunities too.
Does it seem like the WTCS athletes are sort of just like dominating now at the 100K, or is that just my perception? Rinny's like, yeah, it does sort of seem
I was like, I have a biased view, but
Oh no, I 100% agree. The best Ironman athletes. I mean, there are some exceptions to this rule, and I had an argument with whatever, I can't think of his name. Anyway, about
some
this,
guy,
'cause
some
he's
guy.
like, no, no, he's like, this is not the case. Like Ironman athletes are beating short course athletes. I'm like, no, like generally the progression is they're very fast over the short course. Then some athletes, not all short course athletes can bridge the gap, but there are a lot of short course athletes that then move to halves and they're dominant because it's basically the same training. You just have to add a little bit of a longer
Sure.
ride. And then when you move up to Ironman, that's another big step. But typically the short course athletes are the ones that come up through the ranks and then they dominate at the highest level. You know, Sam Laidlow's an exception to that rule. He didn't really do short course. And there are a couple of others, but you know, Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Eden, like I came through short course ranks.
Annie Haug.
Annie Haug, yeah, like there's
Yeah.
so many that came through short course and made the jump up to Ironman and dominated that distance. So I feel like it's inevitable. Like you've been doing that training for so long, and now you just have, and you know, it's another hour and a half.
That's another hour.
But the training that the short course athletes do, like it's brutal. Like you're threshold all the time, and you're having to back up those sessions, and the volume is not that dissimilar to what you for a half Ironman anyway. So I feel like it's the same or similar training. And then the Ironman athletes, I think it's just harder to come back down after you've gone to Ironman. I certainly found that once I started racing Ironman, and this is my opinion. I think just stepping back down, it takes a lot of work to like get comfortable in that, you know, zone 4, because you kind of have to race up, you know, zone 3 high, zone, or you know, zone 4 for periods of it, and being able to punch the power when you've been sitting steady state for, you know, all of your training and racing. So yeah, agree.
Yeah. Okay, good. Rinny agrees with me. I feel right. So, what races have you guys been most excited? Like, we're almost halfway through. I mean, not halfway, but we're like halfway through the year, very into the season now. What's been like the most exciting race, result, biggest news for you so far this year? And you can't all say Ironman Texas. No, I'm kidding.
Of course, we were all about to say Ironman Texas. It has to be. I'm sorry, I know Katie's probably going to pick a short course race, but it has to be Cat and Taylor. It has to be Ironman Texas. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to let Rinny talk about that because actually I'm going to go back and talk about briefly Taylor doing the three-peat in December. I know we're through to the 2025 season, but it really rounded out the season. Taylor taking the tape in New Zealand, 3-time Ironman 70.3 world champion, and then just absolutely incredible to watch her race, to see her up close, to see that steely determination and what she has achieved at such a young age as well, when you think about it. And then to back all of that up when we see what she did in Texas, and that segues nicely into what Rinny's going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go off the back of Joanna because we are speaking long course still, but yeah, I mean, I did the commentary for Ironman Texas, and that race was just incredible. What Kat did, just amazing, an amazing race, and I'm looking forward to that rivalry throughout the year. And case in point with Taylor Knibb, another athlete, Olympic distance focused, that stepped up in the ranks and is the best we've ever seen over the middle distance. And And now the question mark is whether she can transfer that to the Ironman distance.
Like, incredible when you think she came, was it fourth at her very first Ironman, finishes second in her second Ironman. I mean, she had us all on the edge of our seats because, okay, I love Taylor, but I love Kat, and I really wanted Kat. I really want Kat to be the world champion this year. I'm going to put it out there. You know, I love all the athletes, but I really want Kat to win this year. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I have now, so it's out there.
It's out there.
But to see and watch it from so far away from where that racing was taking place, and to look at the patience that she had to just grind away, push the power on the bike, to hold her composure, to know she was obviously well behind Taylor coming into that run course, and then to just have the absolute gumption and grit to be like, I am not afraid. This is my race and I am going for it. And that's what it looked like when I was watching the coverage and watching the tracker and trying to be like, oh my God, come on. As much as you want to see Taylor win, I was like, come on, Kat, come on. Yeah. It was just incredible.
I will say, I'm not going to, I don't pick favorites, but I will say kudos. One of the things I do think Kat has really, that kudos to her is she made a lot of money last year doing like kind of everything. And she has said like, no, I want to win Kona this year. And she didn't sign a T100 contract because she wants to put all her eggs in that basket. And that takes some like calling your shot. You know what I mean? Like that's a choice. And so, I mean, I do kind of hope, kudos to her, and I hope it works out, right?
Well, she's racing in Hamburg, I think, in a couple of weeks' time. That's her next big focus. But yeah, Rinny, it must have been like, so I've never commentated a race. So talk us through what it was like actually commentating that race, because it was so exciting. And sorry, Katie, I'm hopping on the Ironman bandwagon here with Rinny.
No, that was, I mean, obviously on the men's side, we had some incredible racing as well with, that field was just super deep. So the race, when you have so many storylines, it just makes it so much more fun to commentate and share. And watching Kat, the most impressive thing to me was like, we know Taylor Knibb's cycling prowess. We know that she is just a phenom when it comes to putting her on, a time trial bike. But for Kat to basically ride the same time as her, both of them riding under the course record time, and yes, we had good conditions, not crazy wind. I think it was really a pleasure to be able to call that race with so much going on. And then, we sort of saw early that Taylor really wasn't on her game on the run. She made it very clear that she wasn't trying to win the race and she just wanted a Kona spot. So we sort of knew that, not that she'd thrown in the towel, more that she's like, okay, I'm not trying to do anything crazy here. I just want to get my Kona slot. But for Kat to just be like, I don't know, just a lot of people, I think, look at Taylor and like, I can't beat that. But Kat is like, bring it on. Like, you can see it in the pre-race interviews. She's like, I'm healthy. I've put in great training. I know this course. I love this community. And she's obviously won there before. So I just appreciated that kind of confidence that she had. Like, I'm not scared of Taylor Knibb. Like, I know how to race this race, and whatever she puts down, I feel like I have what it takes to go head to head. So I enjoyed watching, following, and helping share the story.
I do think we have seen that a lot in like the women's field, where there'll be somebody who seems almost unbeatable, and then everyone kind of steps up and is like, no, like I can beat Chrissy, right? Or I can beat Daniela, right? Yeah. And you see these kind of jumps. So I'm going to say, since we went to the end of last year, Joanne, and to the Taylor's three-peat, I will say I think somebody who got underappreciated last year was Cassandra Beaugrand. And I mean, she went Olympic medal, world championship, super tri. Like, she was just winning everything. It's that's hard to do at that distance.
Well, and if you saw like the world championship where she went off course in the swim,
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah,
it was like the most impressive comeback. And then she like took control like on the bike more than she like has done before. And I agree with that.
You're like, yeah, and I saw her back on a start list for this weekend in Yokohama. So we'll see. What is your pick, Katie?
Well, I need to pick a draft legal race, short course race, but we are off to like a pretty slow start in the season. We've only had Abu Dhabi and Yokohama this weekend, but I would actually say America's Cup and in Miami, and I thought it was super cool. I got to be there on the other side of things, and they had Collegiate Club Nationals at the same time as the Miami America's Cup. So being able to see like a lot of, and an age group race as well. So being able to see just a lot of different people at the same race. And for us as Americans, like we don't usually see the top Americans racing at Miami or when there is a kind of Continental Cup level race, because there's typically World Cups or World Triathlon Championship Series going on. But like Gwen was there, Gina Serino was there from like national team members. And then you also had like the NCAA athletes racing in the America's Cup. And so it's just neat for me to see like this could actually be like one of the more competitive races in the United States for us, with just like the mix of people and seeing everyone kind of intermixed with one another, because normally it's just a little bit like World Triathlon, NCAA. So it was fun to have everyone there.
And how does the NCAA look these days, like in person?
This is a longer conversation.
It is. I was like, it's a loaded question, but that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's nice because it provides, like, we have a pretty robust junior series that like it sells out within minutes for these races and fills up. And then the hard part is like, where do you go once you're done with the junior series? And NCAA has really like brought like a pathway, I think, to keep athletes still racing draft legal races within like our country, and also bringing over, like, I think you could probably argue both sides of this, because like half of the athletes in the NCAA, and maybe don't like quote me on that number or anything like that, but a large amount of athletes in NCAA racing are also international athletes. So there's like two sides to that. It's like you're building the pipeline for other countries as well. But I think it's a great thing because you're going to only heighten the competition within the US. So in terms of like how NCAA will go with like, not just speaking of triathlon, but just like the wider things that are going on with,
sure.
And I don't even like know the nitty gritty of like the NIL aspect of it, but that's still to be determined. But I think in general, it's just a good way to have more opportunity in the US to continue this type of racing.
All right. I do want to remind people that if they have any questions, they can put them in the comments. We'll open it up for questions a little bit here. And while people are thinking of their questions, here's my question for all of you. What are you most excited about this season, like still to come?
I'm excited to see how like this phase of like this year of World Triathlon, post-Olympic year, kind of pans out. And also there's a few, I really enjoy like the dynamic, like really tough courses. I mean, like I was world champion in Lausanne, which was like one of the hilliest courses ever. And I feel like a tendency is that our races kind of get like flat and a little boring, but we have Karlovy Vary on the schedule, which has always been a World Cup, and that one's going to be really exciting to watch. So
is that how you say that? I never know how to say
Oh, well, I don't know. Tommy corrects me often, so maybe Joanne knows. You do more commentating on places. Okay.
I haven't a clue.
All right.
What are you guys excited about? I will say I'm outside San Francisco, and so the T100 is here in like 2 weeks, and that's always just fun to have like right in your backyard. And that one is a fun one because they do like a modified Alcatraz course, jump off a boat, bike up a giant hill, all that kind of thing. So,
well, the women are going to Kona this year, so I'm definitely hugely excited for what's going to unfold across the week in Kona and on race day. And in fact, the whole season is really exciting, to be honest. I mean, as you mentioned, we're in the thick of it now. I think we're into our sixth or seventh Pro Series race coming up this weekend in Aix-en-Provence. Like, the season has been off to an explosive start for 70.3 Ironman distance racing, and it's going to just explode. I think we've lots of new athletes coming through as well, and they're changing the dynamic of the fields. And I just think it's a really exciting time to be in the sport. But for me, I think Kona, and I'll be in Nice hopefully, and Marbella as well. So I am looking forward to the World Championship races. I do love them all, but Kona for me is going to be epic, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it will be. I think, mine are the same as Joanne's, just Kona, the women's race, having the women back there, um, seeing how that shakes out. Taylor will be racing, Kat will be racing, Laura Phillip will be racing, hopefully a healthy um, Lucy Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley. Like, Lucy, I'm missing. I feel like the last time the women.
Yeah, and he has hopefully as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's going to be bonkers, who gets it right on the day, and that's always a pressure cooker. For me, it's always Kona, sorry.
It's always Kona. I mean, I think we just learned that a large portions of the triathlon community agree with you, right? I know like people are asking about it, and I will say like I recognize that everyone's very excited about Kona. Like Kona is built into the lore, and like there's lots of perks to going back. I am nervous about the pro women like having a clean race in future years, and like you said, there's pros and cons. So I am excited about them getting like one last, them on the stage, them first across the line. No amateur men trying to like have their day on TV. That'll be nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. We do have two questions here. People want to know, we've talked a lot about our predictions and our hopes for the Kona. Do you have any predictions for the T100 finals and the Ironman, the Pro Series? Like, is Kat going to win the Pro Series again?
You think Kat's going to win the Pro Series again, Rinny, do you?
Yep. I think Kat will win the Pro Series again. T100, I think Taylor will probably take that out again. Those kind of two low ball questions in my opinion, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times. Who's going to win Kona? That's a bigger question. I don't know.
That's a big question. I think Taylor would be hard to beat in the T100. If she does enough of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and who's going to win WTCS, Katie?
Oh, I hate these predictions. It'll be interesting to see how Cassandra's doing after like just such a big year, because while I think she showed like such consistency across the board, it's also like hard to do that with like the letdown, I think, of the Olympics. So I always feel like you're looking for the person who just missed it. And like that would be to me probably Beth Potter or one of the Germans. My goodness, the Germans, like they took the podium top 3 in Abu Dhabi, and you've just kind of watched them over these past few years become more and more consistently dominant, and not just like one of them, it's like 7 of them. So that's going to be very interesting too in the World Triathlon Championship Series.
All right, our last question kind of to close out is a big one, but again, if you were queen of triathlon, what are your thoughts about like how you would get more women into triathlon? How do we grow? I mean, we know the pro women are getting more competitive and more competitive and more competitive. How do we get like more women at the entry?
I feel like this is the $1 million question.
This is the $1 million question. Yeah,
it is.
That's why we're on, right? No,
right.
We'll have it figured out by the end of the season. No, I mean, I do think actually that was one of the things I thought about for what I think has changed over the years in that I've been involved in triathlon. And maybe I'm just noticing it more because of now being a mom and trying to be a professional triathlete and be a mom with our son, Kimball. There are more moms that are like staying in it and from like an elite level. And I also feel like just the community of women growing in general, it's like they pull in, just how Rinny got introduced to triathlon was like meeting triathletes. So like you start doing it with your friends or your buddies. For me, it was my dad, but it could also be a girlfriend, and just saying like, hey, like, let's try to do this together. Let's be on a team together, not having to do necessarily swimming, biking, and running, but like being able to do a relay if you're not ready to go all in. So and just having more opportunities to race. I also think there's a women's triathlon series here in North Carolina, and I think that's pretty cool. And to see more, I don't know if you've ever like seen the She Is Beautiful race in Santa Cruz that they have. It's not a triathlon, it's just a road race, but it's really cool to see the community of women like come together for kind of women-centric races and opportunities. So it'll be nice to see if that evolves as well.
I will say I had to answer this question somebody the other day, so I randomly got a like 48-hour head start on you guys, and here's what I came up with. I think we make the mistake of thinking that women are a monolith, and women are lots of different things. And I do think there's two large groups that we're actually talking about here. One is like kind of the 40+ women, and for them it does come down to like childcare, time, like logistic, like so childcare at races, like women's training groups that offer like a babysitter for everybody, right? Like pregnancy deferrals, like all those kinds of things really matter to that group of people. For the 20-somethings, it's vibes. Like it is vibes, man. Like they want it to be cool. They're like into the trail run, right? Like they are all about like, you know, what's exciting, and so that's so I think those are kind of different things. Anyway, this is my thought from the other day. I don't know if anybody has other thoughts.
Yeah, I think you kind of touch on it there, Kelly. The sport is a lifestyle sport, so it's got to fit into your schedule, and that's one of the biggest barriers, regardless of whether you're male or female. It's got to fit into your life. You're trying to train as an age group athlete at a certain level to qualify for different things, or to even get to the start line of a race. I mean, Rinny talked about the sprint racing there, and her swim wasn't up to scratch, but then she's like a wow at an Ironman distance race, and you're just kind of going, how does that even work? But I think there's a huge social aspect and lifestyle side to our sport, and I think we need to create more fun. We gotta have more fun. I think that's part of it. And I think if you break it down to those age groups as well, Kelly, like if you think about it, and I'm not saying everybody is doing it, but I've seen a big growth in like singles clubs, running singles clubs,
right.
Or let's go hiking, it's the girls only, but we're going to meet the boys or doing something on the other side. And it's like you keep people separate for comfort in one respect, but then you need to bring them together because it's a very social sport in another respect. So in terms of trying to grow the sport, you're probably right in having a couple of pronged approaches for different people, because that was one of the things that I saw recently that, I'm not a mom. I'm the only one on the group that isn't a mom. So I don't have any experience of it. But if I was a race director, I think I would be putting in like baby changing areas for mums who want to race, opportunities for mums to breastfeed, or to have like some sort of a childcare opportunity. Not that you want to leave your child with a random stranger, but do you know what I mean? That there's an opportunity for mums to actually get away for an hour or an hour and 20 minutes to do that sprint race, or to provide entertainment for the other kids that are going to be there with the dads or whatever the family setup is. And that's just one small thing of it. So it is $1 million question, but I think ultimately we do this sport because we love it and we love what it gives us. And the more we reinforce that message and we spread the message about how good this sport is, not only for our physical health, but for our mental health, for our emotional well-being, everything, that's how we get more people into the sport. You bring the girls, you'll get more boys. You bring the boys, you'll get more girls. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we need to look at this broad spectrum thing of it's fun, it's social, and it's something that we all should be trying out at least once in our lifetimes. Rant over.
All right, since we are talking about childcare, I know Katie has to go pick up her kid, so we do have to wrap up here. I want to thank everyone for joining us, thank our sponsors again, Orca and Previnex, and remind you guys all that we are officially fully back now, the Feisty Tri podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and Joanne and Katie will be back. We might convince Rinny to come again. Who knows? Thank you.
I'll pop in here and there for sure.
Thank you, everybody, and we will see you at the races.